Yes. Yes.
And I will start making my way.
Okay. Are the three of you and the Chancellor, I imagine, as long as you're going to take them along, going to get there?
Is there like a long way around that we won't go like unnoticed?
Is there a long way around that you will go unnoticed?
Yes. Like, is there like maybe not so busy roads that we could take, or like an angle that we could take it so that we're not like.
So like you have to cross one busy street to get there, right? Because there's like not that many roads in this town. But you can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who's gonna lead this escapade?
Hold on. Let me see. I think I will have to because I have the horse. Not that I'm any good at it, but.
Make Rutherford proud.
Okay. Make a disguise roll if you're going to try and blend in with the crowd. Make a stealth roll if you're just going to try and sneak with your horse.
Let me see what. I think I'm going to try the stealth roll because I'm not really trained.
Stealth roll is going to be a little harder.
I mean, my disguise roll is going to be hard because I'm not trained in it.
Oh, right. I guess they would actually both be stealth rolls because disguise is like literally just disguising yourself. Okay, so make it roll it challenging.
All right. Let's see, challenging stealth roll. $76.
Okay, let me secret GM roll noises.
Oh god.
I'm gonna have to be a hero, aren't I?
Yeah, you are gonna have to be a hero.
I'm gonna channel Rasmussen and absolutely murder someone.
No.
Okay.
Already did.
No, hold on. You're like making it across the street. Like some people like clearly like see you because you're like got a horse.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't notice that any cards have got your scent.
Okay.
They seem to be like kind of closing in on where you came from, and none of them seem to like notice you.
Okay. Cool. All right. So I assume we make our way to the house.
Okay. Yeah, you get in the. You get into the house. I imagine all four of you were there, all three of you, and the Chancellor. The Chancellor sits down and he goes, "Oh, this was Martin's place. This poor fellow."
You wouldn't know what happened to this fellow, would you?
No, not even a clue. Anyone may take a scrutinized test. Very hard.
I definitely want to try.
Oh, I guess the question I have is, has Father Leon arrived then?
I can't tell.
You should probably ride first because you didn't have to try stealth.
Yeah.
You just walk.
Yeah, it makes sense. So I'll also roll the scrutinize. And you said it was a what roll rating?
I think it's standard.
Okay, just standard.
No, it was hard.
Oh, was it hard? Oh, I had it on challenging. Oops.
Perception, scrutinize.
Well, then I failed anyway, so it
I'll
doesn't
have to
matter.
get a point in that at some point. I didn't do too well.
So we don't see anything, right?
I just saw yours. Yeah, you know, it seems like he's telling the truth. Yes, he says, "You know, you're a Basque, aren't you, Genevieve?"
Of course.
Oh, I guess it isn't really. Yeah, you could. You're the daughter of Gracious, correct? I only know your name from the wanted paper. I don't believe we've ever met.
And she eyes you. She eyes him, and then she says, "Maybe." And then she says, "Well, what is it about my father?"
The poor fool has gone and got himself arrested.
That's a big surprise to her.
Yes, it's unfortunate. Him and I had been working on a plan to grant the merchant class of this town more autonomy from the graph. We had made good headway with the old Graf Eric Thorsman, but unfortunately, this new Eltham and that horrible wife of his didn't I suppose receive our plans too kindly.
If I heard you right, he says that this graft is Elven?
Eltham.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's the guy who took over after
Gotcha.
the graph was killed.
So she kind of looks at him and she says, "Have you met my brother?"
Only in passing. No offense to you, I've never liked the young man.
Not a lot of people do.
He seems like the type that would screw up the family business as soon as your father died.
She doesn't even take offense to that. She says, so my father is in prison. Is that what you're saying?
As far as I could hear from one of my more trusted agents in the Graf's court, he also shortly delivered the message that I was to be terminated from my position.
So she asks, do you know where he's imprisoned?
I'd imagine Skarnsburg.
I assume that you want to tell me this to help resolve your issue.
Well, you see, I do have an issue. Now, I'll be completely frank, because I believe honesty and trust, that's what breeds good partnerships. Wouldn't you agree, Rutherford, Father Leon?
Wholeheartedly.
So it is, but in which case, I believe you do have a part of your story to tell. So far as I've heard, you said that you had been expelled by the Graph just now, or relieved of duties, and that there was a witch involved.
I will get to that momentarily. I first wish to come clean to our new fellows. I had planned at our meeting today to have you both arrested while Graf Eltham was meeting with Zaid to score points with our new Graf. I realize now this was misguided. And I really do believe honesty is the basis of all good relationships.
And it would have worked too.
Jerry just kind of puts a hand to her face and takes like a deep breath, and she says, "Considering you're in the same boat with us now, I'm just gonna consider this karma as punishment." And she kind of sits down and she says, So what is the situation in town? It's changed dramatically. What happened?
Well, shortly after I have forgotten and his name, the other knight that resided at the castle, left with the Graf's military.
So, Sir Reginald, or is another knight?
There was a couple of them that lived there.
Okay.
And I'll just let others stay behind. Yeah, I named them, and I actually forgot their names. So
It's fine.
they're not important. They're dead somewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
And, the mercenary company that the Graf said he was raising came into town. He began to put extra pressure on me. I had thought of a way to get in his good graces. His mercenaries had begun taking more and more control of the town.
I've seen this in truth. I'd wondered perhaps how much control you had of them, but it seems none then.
No, they held more. They had their own control.
Their captain.
Yes, he did seem to. He was virtually running the town since for a few months. So I have had little in the dealings with the actual village.
It's truly a shame that it slipped from your grasp. I believe the situation might not be so severe then.
What do you mean? Of course it's severe. I could be killed at any moment.
Well, perhaps I'll elaborate on that another time. But, well, so you've lost control, and then they came to assert full control. Why does the craft care so much about this tiny little town?
Well, Bobstow is the seat of his power. So, okay, sorry. So you would actually probably know that.
Solo en este mes mandó $2,000 computadora. Solo en este mes mandó computadora $2,000.
It's okay.
Fluff, your mic was on, by the way.
El año pasado, ¿qué sabe? 10, 29 y 19. Para su cumpleaños le mandó $500 una computadora.
Oh yeah.
It's better with the new mic so you can hear it.
Solo
Yeah.
545 para su cumpleaños.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
I have
There we go.
server muted her for the time being.
Yeah, sorry. I unfortunately cannot process multiple information streams when they're audio. It really
I
fucks me
understand
up.
completely.
Okay. That's gonna take me a second to get back on track.
Bobstat is the seat of his power.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I believe a graph was equal to either a duke or a count. So sort of his duchy, his whole province. All the little towns would have been ruled over by smaller lords, but as civilization is now, we're like in the Renaissance. That is kind of like power is beginning to consolidate. So Bobsau is
Right.
actually like this is like the seat of sort of his power. He mostly stays in Skarnsburg, where like the court and the politics are, but Bobsau is like the most important holding in his territory.
The economic heart, then. Okay, that makes sense.
This is the market town. It's where everything is sold. All the goods pass pretty much through here. This is the heart of his land.
Okay. So he does have a great vested interest, but why now, and why such control? Is he truly in some desperate need of funds, or what has been going on with him?
I do not know. I do not know. Of course, he has just become the
Graph.
the graph. And this was quite strange. It happened quite quickly after he did.
I see. I believe then it would just merely be a move to consolidate power, if nothing else, but I believe there are other motives. Let's return to that later. I'm still interested about this witch, and I'm just gonna, lightly shake his shoulders. Tell me about the witch!
So, old Graf had a sister and a daughter. You've probably met young Carla. That is the daughter of Graf Eric. So Elba is her aunt. However, when Carla went missing, she inherited the titles. And of course, her new husband, whom she had just married, Graf Eltham, took control.
I see.
Not, let's see, Eltham is the son. Sorry, we're about to get really political, and I'm going to have to kind of drop it for a second. So Eltham is the son of Herzog Skarnsberg. So Herzog is a step up above Graf. He controls, obviously, the big city of Skarnsberg. So Eltham is the second son of Herzog Skarnsberg.
Okay.
And he was looking at a marriage between Elba and Carla to cement his realm a little better. The Herzog Skarnsberg. At least this is what I had an inkling of. But Elba is elderly. She is past her prime, and never really a good-looking woman, if I dare say so myself. But yet, for some reason, he chose her. Perhaps witch was too strong a word, but certainly.
I see. And then Father Leon actually looks like a little bit sullen for a second. So marriage for political power, and of course Carla is in the way of this. Does that sound correct?
Yes, well, after her father's murder, she was pronounced dead. So it was quite a surprise when I saw the reward for her taken alive.
Indeed. Well, then I suppose it is a revelation of their desires, then, is it not?
Yes.
Well, there's a fair bit of little political machinations going on.
I do have a question about a letter you sent me.
I'll be right back.
Did that have to do with trying to get in better favors with the Graf?
As a lord yourself, Lord Rutherford, or formerly, I suppose, and you should know relationships are everything in our society, as you obviously know. I just wanted to see if you had anything to offer.
No.
I knew what.
I have nothing to offer you.
Well, that is unfortunate, because it seems both of us are in a similar situation. You did hear the news that the notary brought back from Bogenhofen?
They came back alive.
Yes, they did. They passed through. Not long after they left again. Hey, your titles have been revoked. An old heiress to the throne, to the Castle Bogen, was found. So, unfortunately, your titles have been revoked. You have no more legal hold over that land, as it were.
Back.
It was just I should have known better.
Anyways, yes, let me see, a Lady Brianna has been, yes, I believe that was her name. I sent her a message for a meeting.
Oh, God, Emperor, save us. You did what?
Oh, no, no, no. And I'll just like put a hand in front of Rutherford. Lady Brianna, I think I may have heard this name before. When I had spoken to the bishop, he had said that a important lady had actually put out some of the bounties on these two. Was that her?
I don't know. I have never heard of Lady Brianna before, but apparently her name is Lady Brianna Morgan, so the capital in the town she gets, I suppose.
I see. I see. Oh, I think Burger's back. Here we go. I see. So, she's a noble from a neighboring town, and you sent a letter to meet her, correct?
Yes, as I did with Lord Rutherford, of course.
Of course, of course. Has she been to the town? Is she coming now?
She never sent a response. Isn't that rude?
I think
Unfortunate.
her arrival will be the response. I don't think. She doesn't fancy herself as a. You know.
It may pain me to say, but I believe she is at the center of a criminal enterprise. Perhaps you've noticed the strange blue drug coming through town.
Yes, I have noticed this. Of course, my mercenaries told me not to worry about it. The situation was fine.
Oh yeah, I think Genevieve would be like, should we tell him that she's, not what she
Father
is?
Leon is like putting like a hand over your mouth for a second when you like start trying to say that.
I just feel Genevieve just like freaking out.
And Father Leon is just like putting up a finger of like one thing at a time. Don't break the poor man.
Here. We should bring her to Bobstop.
Well, it has been a bit of a problem, and I am ashamed to say that she is the one at fault for this drug and has been bringing it into the town. And I believe these two here may have something to say about its supply and exactly how it got here. That perhaps might shed some light onto what you know already. Genevieve?
She's like, should I just dump it on him or just go little by little?
Tell him about what you did with the drugs. I believe I had asked you to do something about them, but I don't think I got back to you. I think I saw you riding a donkey. And do you just see him start to smile at the thought of it?
Well, I don't know where the drugs are.
But you got rid of them, right? Or what happened?
Nope. They're gone. Horseface took them away. But I know he didn't go back into
Horseface.
town.
Yeah, the guard said something about Horseface.
Horseface told the guards that we weren't real witch hunters.
I knew we should have killed him.
I know, I'm kind of regretting it.
That's the last time I'm merciful. I'm going to
I
kill
think
every
that
person.
man, I'm gonna stuck my sword into his throat.
I should not take my eyes off of you, but yet for the mercy of Sigmar, I must sometimes. All right. So, you did find out where it was, and this Horseface, you know the method he brought into the town, correct? And he will not be doing so anymore?
I don't think so. If he does, he knows I'll probably kill him.
Good, good. So then, Chancellor, does that ring any sort of bell to you about this shipping method or Horseface?
Old Horseface? I know about him. Everybody knows about him. He's been working a bar for years.
I see. Well, it would perhaps be again my duty and displeasure to say I believe Brianna has been working on this for years. As I have been told that Horseface has been an ally of hers for some time. And thus, she has brought her criminal enterprise here, and if these mercenaries who are under the Graf's control are assisting her criminal enterprise, I believe a man such as yourself must see the true importance of what is occurring here.
His eyes like cross for a second, and
Yeah.
he goes, "But how could this Lady Brianna, I've never heard of her, exert such influence?"
I had only until recently learned of her name, but I do believe I have a full explanation that in the name of Sigmar I do swear is true. I believe Lady Brianna is a creature of that vile abyss, and in the name of Sigmar must be ended.
So, I'm no man of God, but
Of course.
is she even the real threat here?
It is a good question you have, and I wish I had the full answer. I believe she may be a historical figure named the Winter Goddess. But perhaps she is not and is merely a worker of her. I do not have a way to confirm that without confronting the creature, and from what I understand, doing so at this time may be very, difficult.
Be sure that when she gets into town, all the little mercenaries that are in town will probably be under control. And we will be outnumbered vastly.
Well, they seem to be doing her bidding already.
Well, it'll get worse when she's here.
Okay.
But we do have the graph, and as you have discovered, Carla is alive.
Yeah.
I do believe if she revealed herself, she could in fact claim her title and thus control, couldn't she not? I believe she has that authority. Or have I misread that wrong? Nobility is so difficult.
I believe she could make a case before the courts. If only we had a lawyer. A good one. Like Martin was.
I've been reading the law books, but it may take a few more years. I don't think we have that sort of time, so I'll put the reading on hold for now. And I think on critical matters, I believe there stands a good case that perhaps with what is now your legal authority backing up ours and Carla's, perhaps we depose the Graf, put Carla rightfully in her place, and remove a critical part of this criminal enterprise before it has a chance to flourish.
Are you speaking of assassinating one of the nobility?
I speak not of such things. I am a man of honor and dignity. I'm talking of waging a battle.
Against one person.
So, like a duel?
I doubt he will be alone, but neither shall we if we plan correctly and act correctly.
Oh, so you're planning a revolt?
Such which would be under a due and proper Graf who is not involved in criminal enterprises. I believe that should provide sympathy to our cause and prove us right in the end. Or, well, the people of this town and perhaps these two. I will be far away from here when those consequences come. But needless to say, I think there is sufficient resources in town to excise these mercenaries, and thus the graph as well.
Perhaps. But there are no. Even if you could convince someone like Sir Reginald, so few fighters would stand little chance.
This is true, as I have heard that there may not even be any others than him, as far as I understand, or whatever pity guard remains there. Still, it is one angle. Perhaps if I speak to him. If we could find this Martin, I believe maybe his miners may also be won over to such a cause. But if he's missing, then I'm afraid we just never know. And correct me if I'm wrong, you do have bandits outside of town, do you not?
Yes.
An encampment, even.
Yes, they've encroached in. The mercenaries won't do a thing about them. Of course, the camp did catch fire the other day. Do not know if they are still running there.
You caught fire?
Yeah,
No.
that was me.
No.
Oh,
You can see.
Rasmussen did it.
You can see Father Leon just burying his face in his palms for a bit. I can only hope Lady Dorgan is all right. As much as she would hate to see me in this time, it would be even all the worse to admit to perhaps being friendly to the person who just burnt down all she owns, or that she has left. How can you terrorize the poor woman like that?
I made a deal with her, but the forest caught on fire.
Incidentally.
It was a mistake.
Well, you better tell that companion of yours to not set any more fires, or I may simply lose the last bits of hair that I have left.
He burned
I
to
can't
death.
even speak. I'm hyperventilating now.
I burnt him to death.
And Father Leon will just be completely speechless for like a full minute. On to the business. Then I suppose we could still speak with her. And that seems like more or less a group of people who are already armed and willing to exact violence, and may accept some amount of pardon if they were to join on such a venture.
Maybe. But they seem. The thing is, they've been collecting tolls from the road, and the mercenaries haven't stopped them.
Mm-hmm.
And that generally leads me to believe that they may be a recruiting tool for them just as much as they are.
I see. Well, I suppose that would just give Lady Durgan double the reason to murder me in my sleep. Well, that's good to know, I suppose. I'll sleep with double the padding tonight. Anyway, so that is a number of things that I could think of, at least off the top of my head. There's the bishop in the church. But I do wonder if they are carrying out this bounty, if they would be willing to help us. What do you think of the bishop, Chancellor? What interactions have you had?
I need to double check something.
Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, right down. Sorry, I'm talking out loud.
It's okay.
Not much, unfortunately. He's quite a seclusive man most of the time. I do not know if we have any goodwill built up. as it were.
Well, that is unfortunate to hear. I suppose if he is a man of seclusion, perhaps he is not so wrapped up in all of this.
I could
But-
speak with him.
Father Leon will raise a little bit of an eyebrow. He wants you captured.
Maybe, I don't know.
Ah. But I suppose more importantly, the bishop does have access to a dungeon, and if Martin is to be found in this town after his disappearance, I believe he may be either there or at Sir Reginald's castle. And I have no idea which it could be. So, Chancellor,
I'm
do you
pretty
think...
sure Sir Reginald has no prisoners at his castle at the current moment.
I see. I suppose that narrows it down to the bishop, and if the bishop is interested in sequestering away Martin so that the Graf may take control of the mines, and the Graf is now here in force, I would suspect then that the bishop perhaps has some allegiance. And so it all becomes a little bit more clear. I'm sorry to say, Chancellor, you may be in very interesting times.
Well, I've had a good show of it, I guess.
There's no need to be so down like that. There's but light at the end, as Saint Aeneas would have said, and I will exposit a little bit about keeping hope and such and the like. And I'll do that for a few minutes before dispensing and going. So, perhaps, Chancellor, do you know of anyone who perhaps might be interested in assisting in stopping these witchcraft and criminal enterprises?
Well, unfortunately, my most powerful allies have all gone missing or been imprisoned.
I believe that was not coincidental then.
Yeah. And me and Martin may have had it not for each other, but we did have a common goal, along with Mr. Gracious as well.
Mr. Gracious. Which
That
person
would
was that?
be Genevieve's father.
Genevieve's father. I see. And if he's in prison now, well, that makes things a little more difficult. Well then, you two. So what do you think?
We break them out of prison.
I believe that would be in Skarnsburg then, would it not, Chancellor?
Isn't there a dungeon?
Mr. Gracious is certainly in Skarnsburg, yes.
Martin.
Right. I do not believe we have the privilege to take that sort of journey right now.
I
But
do
Martin-
not know if Martin would be held. He has just gone missing.
How long is it until Brianna comes into town?
She didn't return a message, so
She did
maybe
not.
never.
Message.
Okay, so we don't know. Okay. Is there a way to talk to Sir Reginald in any sort of capacity?
I could get us there.
I'd already sent a letter this morning. Perhaps he would send back, but
He may, but I could get us there more secretive, which would be prudent, as the Graf and that horrible wife of his are staying at the castle. Yes, I could
they
get us in.
are.
Yes, of course. What else would they say?
I wonder. Well, if they're staying there, I wonder how Sir Reginald feels about that. But we have no way to know. He's a recluse, isn't he?
Not so much. The man is, how you say, he's stuck in an older time.
I see. Hmm.
Despite that, his advice would be useful, at least.
But you said you could get into the castle.
Yes. Yes, I could.
How?
Well, you see, there's an old postern gate. It's not as used anymore. Just the servants, and really, there's only one servant in town, and she happens to be a distant relative of mine. So
I
I would have
see.
no problem in securing us passage into the.
I think perhaps all the pieces are in place then. Don't you think so, Rutherford?
I think it's time to take decisive action.
Well, perhaps not just yet, but very close. Very close. I do think we are still only have a handful of allies at this moment, if at all, correct?
Certainly sounds that way.
I believe it would be prudent, Rutherford, to first acquire the rest of our allies if possible. That would mean finding Martin and reaching out to whom we can, if we can. If you could figure out if Lady Dorgan is truly on the take of these mercenaries, perhaps you could offer them a better deal or convince them to our side. I don't know how probable that is. I think you might have a better read as you've interacted with them more recently.
Yeah, but I robbed her. I don't.
Father Leon facepalms again. It doesn't end with you, does it?
Things happen. Things go missing. People go missing. I make money. We all win.
Then,
Chancellor looks at you, Rutherford, and he says, "You never actually were a lord. The crime of impersonating nobility is true, isn't it?"
well, if he gets married soon and this all pulls off properly, perhaps he can avoid the pillory. Or hanging. Or guillotine. Guillotine.
I was a lord. Temporarily. But that witch of the north took my title.
Right. Well, still, ignoring that for now, we do still have to form up our objectives and find allies. Finding Barton is definitely important in getting him out of his imprisonment. We cannot go to Skarnsburg to acquire anyone. I believe that would be too long of a journey. Unless you truly think otherwise.
Would be a far journey.
And if we have to fight whatever Saint Reginald is protecting the Graf with, as well as the mercenaries, inside of the castle, it may be a difficult fight indeed, no matter who we have. So, attempting to sway Sir Reginald would also be important. Now, the question is,
What about poor Zaid? Of course, he must be a part.
what about him? I'm sorry. Yes, what about Zaid? A poor thing is he must have had his house whatever. He almost took 2 pennies from me.
Why must we always be opponents, Griff? Why can't we ever be a team?
Why can't you be friends?
Well, I suppose we ought to find him too.
Griff will be the first amongst the wall.
He seemed to have disappeared when those guards came. We actually have no idea where he went.
Oh.
He's probably in the old rat tunnels somewhere. They're right under his house. I would know that because the fucking because there was a big fight about that many years ago.
Well, Zayd would put up a fight, wouldn't he?
Well, it wouldn't be him, but when some out of person tries to say, "Well, why would he know that?" Because I do.
Quick, try
Rat
to rip off his
tunnels.
plastic mask.
I don't suppose these tunnels are in fact full of rats, are they?
They occasionally can be, yes. We have sealed off most of the entrances, because children would go missing when they went in there.
Hold up a second. These tunnels, they're all around town, correct?
Yes, they do. They bury around town. Some vile people used them to launch a surprise attack on the city a long time ago. It's in the histories, which very few people in this town know, unless, of course, you have access to the town records.
I see. So the town records might perhaps have a map then.
Unlikely. The fellows who went down there were not the type who would draw.
Unfortunate. I don't suppose you would happen to know if perhaps this might connect to the monastery?
It may. They were dug all around town.
Perhaps that is a worthy avenue of exploration. Rutherford, do you think you... Again, I must stress, can I trust you to do this are the wrong words. But will you make the attempt in good faith?
To go into the tunnels.
Go into the tunnels, map out where they go, and see what we can do with them, and perhaps maybe they lead to the dungeon underneath the monastery.
Would he even
Chapel.
fit in the tunnels?
They said something to me. They have your scent. They will kill you.
What?
I'm sure he's just putting on airs.
No, Rasputin and I got into a scuffle with the rat people.
People don't exist.
Hold up, there are rat people.
They don't exist. It's a child's myth.
I don't think so. Horseface claimed that he saw like a rat-like man working with Brianna.
Father, you're a man of intellect. Tell these simpletons. They are just a myth.
I know you two had mentioned a rat person before. But if I have to admit, I don't believe they exist. Rodents of unusual sizes, perhaps. Rat people?
There is a tentacle monster.
Okay, see, that is slightly more explicit. That is more like a creature of the abyss. That I can categorize. But rat people, perhaps you're merely thinking of some strange beast man.
At this point, a rat person jumps out from behind the thing, stabs Father.
Ah, no,
No. I know it's gonna happen at some point. Like, this is gonna happen. These rat people just come out, and then, like, Father Leon's gonna be like, oh my god!
Well, I can think of nothing else to trust a wanted criminal who can barely show his face while disguised for more than a day to do other than to explore some rat tunnels. Unless you have perhaps another suggestion.
I mean, I can go in there. I think I'm better than him.
You know what? I will do it.
Very well then. I'm so glad that you
sounds like
volunteered.
a job for a hero, honestly.
It doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose I could sneak in and talk to Sir Reginald now, but I don't think I want to expose the existence of that side entrance. I feel it is to our advantage. Perhaps I should merely wait for a letter.
He won't know. Like I said, Sir Reginald, he is stuck in a simpler time.
Would he accept a guest appearing suddenly, uninvited, unannounced?
To be honest, you would just probably think you are a servant. Or a priest who walked in the front door.
That could be acceptable, actually, then. I think I could make that work, then. At the very least, I could hear his disposition and perhaps see what I can work with. And I would leave the rescue of Martin to you two. And you ought to keep the Chancellor safe.
So where's
I know
Martin?
you can handle that, Genevieve.
Where is Martin exactly?
He ought to be in the dungeons underneath the chapel. A cathedral, even. There we go. I now have the right word.
Is there an access point I can go there without going directly into the chapel?
I don't know. That's why I would like you two to explore the rat tunnels.
Oh, I see.
Yes, I'm sorry. I thought I had made that clearer.
We're gonna have to go back to the alchemy shop.
Yeah, we're gonna have
So
to go.
I shall leave you outcast and wanted criminals to your own devices and pretend not to be none the wiser. And meanwhile, I will continue my reign as a wholly lawful citizen, merely speaking the truth to others.
You're conspiring in regicide.
I have heard nothing of the sort.
My lips are sealed.
I'm doing but what I must to protect my flock.
The what's it called? This guy. What's his name?
The Chancellor is what I've just been using.
Chancellor.
Jeff.
Yeah, the Chancellor.
Chancellor Jeff.
The Chancellor will tell you where an entrance that is more discreet than trying to bust through Zaid's shop and find wherever his entrance was.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Through the tunnels below.
I wish you two, of course, the best of luck. Actually, come once again. You still have your mortuary swords, don't you?
Yes.
Like every
And these are the
hero.
weapons you will prefer to use, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Then perhaps if there are terrible, unwanted things within the abyss down below, I will bless your weapons.
Do that. Yes.
So I will do that. Let me go ahead and see. I believe I can channel to one step, and then I just click the cast button, correct?
Yep, you can.
Does your magic, holy magic or whatever, channeling, does that invoke chaos as well?
Yes, it does.
It can, but I have abilities that can mitigate it for specifically going only one step.
Alright, well,
I just ignore
meant...
that outright.
Okay.
Oh, because I have my blessing.
I don't mean the chance for chaos that gets rolled. I mean the act of channeling causing you to gain chaos, or corruption, rather. Corruption is what I meant.
Oh, I don't know about...
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay. So I will go ahead and do that.
Because channeling causes whatever tier you're doing it to gain that much corruption.
Oh, I had this set on hard, but I did roll really well anyway, and it should go through.
So you gain 1 corruption. Alright.
No. Hold on, though.
I have my Blessed Sacrament amulet, basically.
What is your...
So you don't have the chaos thing, then?
Correct.
Or are you saying it does both?
I'm saying I have a thing specifically to negate it.
No, I'm saying, well, yeah, you're saying that, but corruption and chaos are 2 different things.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Chaos, I don't know.
You just rolled a 6 on your chaos. So I'm trying to find your drawback on your sheet. That's why I was moving your sheet.
Right, because
okay.
you have a career ability. I know career abilities have the thing where you negate 1 chaos die, but there's also corruption that you get for invoking, or...
Yes, unfortunately, though, as you cast, the lure of power gets to you. He resists the corruption effect, but unlike your last caster, he only needs just 1/6 gives him a chaos manifestation.
Okay, so he has something that negates corruption, not chaos. Got it.
Correct, yes.
Okay. See, I had a character that reverse. He negated chaos, not corruption.
That's good.
Yeah, he didn't live long enough for the corruption to build up, so it didn't matter.
Unfortunate. Alright. I suppose, what happens? This is brand new.
This is where I have to get to. I think I had this table bookmarked in my PDF,
Destroy Jellybean.
which it is not.
Well, we all know, me and Griff anyway, how the Warhammer tables work. So I'm gonna bet on curdled milk or dead plants, because I
Yeah,
think
these
these
are
are relatively the same.
Wait, no. Slaps a relative hundreds of miles away.
I mean, that was the funniest one.
It absolutely was.
Oh yeah, go ahead and roll a D100 though.
Okay.
I know higher is worse.
Four.
Fuck you.
Curdled milk it is. My fingernails grow an inch longer.
All
no.
plants in 20 feet die.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
I'm
inside.
standing in the middle of town, so... That broccoli.
Okay, here we go. There is my bookmark. Thank you. Fortune's Mercy. Ignore chaos manifestation and move forward.
Wonderful. I love it.
Time well spent.
It was a 4 not a 5. Yeah,
4, yes.
so 1 through 4 is the best on the lowest table, but 5 through 7 is like suffer moderate injury, right? Which is the
Oof. Yeah,
worst,
that would have been unfortunate.
also a bad one. And then top one is you go to the 97 to 100 is it's a greater manifestation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that should last. My will bonus is, let me just double check, 5. So that should last 8 hours. That's more than enough time.
But don't you have to cast this twice?
Yes, I do. And I'll go, Rutherford, do you accept the holy light of Saint Nias under the eye of Sigmar? Do you express yourself purely to the charity of others?
Absolutely. I'm so charitable. Have you seen all the gold I've thrown at people?
Are you ready to be stricken down by Sigmar himself for lies profane beneath the priest should you be found wanting?
I did not speak any lie.
Wonderful, then. And I will go ahead and anoint it.
And this will now be a critical failure.
It's just a 63. I think I could go ahead and just spend a... Wait, do I have fortune? I have fate.
You did not incant 1 level. Or did you?
It says that he did.
It says that he did. Oh, you have no... You don't have the skill.
Oh!
So your
Wait.
other one was 5, failed to a 50.
Can you even cast without the skill?
It's a flip to fail.
Oh, I thought it was one of those ones where you couldn't do it at all. Okay.
I thought
Do you
it
have
been
the reward
needed.
points to get that skill
Oh.
incantation? Because maybe you could switch something.
Not at the moment. I went ahead and bought Charm last time.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is a fundamental misunderstanding of how magic worked on my part. Oops.
Right. If you switch from that charm to incantation now, you may.
I need the charm, so we could just wipe the table on this and say I just don't.